following is a digital media production.
Yo, this is your boy Ocho, and today I have a very special guest, the GOAT. In my eyes, the one I got to witness, the greatest of all time, Terrell Owens is joining the kid today, man. Like, I'm so turned. I'm so hyped. You got to stay with us because you don't want to miss this one.
Playbook Incorporated presents the Ochocinco Dukes podcast, powered by digital media. Find your voice.
We're talking sports with 85. BODCAST podcast with your boys Chad and BODCAST 85. Chad and Stu.
Welcome back to the Ochocinco Dukes podcast. And actually, this is a special version because this actually, we're not going to be the Ochocinco Dukes podcast today. It's the T-Ocho podcast for back in the day. Joining us, Terrell Owens, and also Chad Ochocinco. T, what's up, man?
What's up, man? What's happening?
Chad, Super Bowl's over. And all you guys who doubted Peyton Manning, can you give the old man credit for just kind of being out there and just kind of somehow finding a way to get it done?
I like that you said finding a way to get it done because the entire game was won defensively. I was hoping there would be an X factor in the game at the receiver position that would step up and take the pressure off of Cam Newton, but it didn't happen.
Now, I'm going to pick up right there, T.O., with you on this now. And this is the thing. Both you guys as wide receivers had to be throwing up in your mouth to watch these guys go out there, drop balls, not help the quarterback out. What were you thinking, T, when you were watching the game?
Well, I mean, I think everybody kind of got caught up in the hype of the superbness and the greatness that Cam has exuded, this particular season, all the way up to the Super Bowl. And I think, whereas the defense for the Denver Broncos really rallied around, they probably had this motto, let's win one for the Gipper with Peyton. So, again, this is something, on the other side, when you talk about the Carolina Panthers and the offense, he really didn't have a lot of help. And I think we all got caught up in the dab. We got caught up in what Cam has done at that quarterback position as an African-American, really his greatness this year. And this year, when he needed some help, when Superman needed some help, which doesn't happen all the time, he didn't get it. And, there was a number of plays throughout the course of the game, most notably the catch that wasn't a catch after reviewing the catch, which really could have changed the momentum and changed the outcome of the game because, as we all saw, that catch was nullified. And then 2 plays later, that's when the strip, the sack, and the touchdown and the fumble happened. And so I think, we all was looking for the heroics of Cam that has been on display all year, but it just didn't happen.
The one thing that really bothered me, Jamie and T, I'm talking about really bothered me, like it really hurt my soul. To me, it comes down to a pride thing as a receiver. As a receiver, to be able to see the Denver Broncos line up, no disguising, no bluffing, but just lining up, stacking the box to spy Cam and playing bump and run, man-to-man, in your face, and sometimes off on second and third down. I was like, that's supposed to be stealing for any receiver. Any receiver that is serious about his craft, that's your light. That's why I said there should have been an X factor at some point. Funchess was supposed to eat. That was supposed to be his game to emerge as the pick that he was. I was hoping he would do it. I was hoping.
Right, but you got to understand. I understand where you're coming from, my boy Ocho, but there hasn't been an X factor at the receiver position really all year. So if you look at it that way, ideally, you want to take advantage of those mismatches and you want to take what the defense is giving you. But then there are times, Cam missed some throws that he typically made during the course of the season. And on the biggest stage of the year, you can tell there were some jitters. He threw the ball high a few times. He threw a couple of times. He threw the ball long when some of his receivers were open early in the game. But, to piggyback what you're saying, but they don't have those type of receivers. They're not built like us, Chad, or any other guy that will be considered number 1 or number 2 receivers or X factors in the football game. So, you don't have those guys that have that tenacity or or audacity to go to the coach and be like, yo, this guy is on me, get me the ball, or what can we do to get me open so when this particular play comes up or this particular coverage comes up that we can expose them. And then, again, there are times where, again, Cam put the ball right in a couple of guys' hands and they drop it. So, again, we all expected Superman to do everything when Superman needed his Superman and friends on yesterday.
You know, one of the other things, and I'm intrigued to hear you guys' thoughts on this because – you know, one of the things I know about both of you guys is that you're passionate, very passionate players. You always were passionate players. You were emotional players, your passion for the game. And everybody was talking after the game, and I think it was one of the toughest things for me to see was Cam's performance in the post-game presser, Chad. What was going through your mind when you were watching?
This is what I said. Everyone handles losing differently.
Yeah.
Everyone handles losing differently. That was the biggest stage of Cam's career. Not only did he not have any help in the game, for me, I'm media savvy and I handle the media a different type of way. Even when I lose, whether I win, whether I lose, I'm always talking. You know, I take the same route no matter what. But Cam had been smiling all year. Cam had been dabbing all year, having a great time all year. And I think the losing got to him so much. And then on top of the losing, not only that, they have an interview going on behind him, if you can hear in the audio clips. And, you know, Chris Harris is saying some things that might have rubbed him the wrong way. And if you watch Cam's body language, you can tell he's listening to what Chris is saying in the background. And that's when he ups and leaves. I think maybe along the line when he gets a little older, a little bit more mature, he's able to handle those situations when you lose. But you know, it wasn't what we want, you know, but I understand where he's coming from. And I'd rather him get up than sit there and say some things he shouldn't say and regret it later on.
Absolutely. And as you said, a lot of people handle losing, winning in different ways, different manners. But I think in this situation, Cam is the MVP of the league. He just wasn't the MVP of the press conference come yesterday. And I think this was a time really, you know, as the leader of his team, as the leader in that locker room, the face of the franchise, and possibly could be really the face of the league. This was an opportunity for him to really step up and be that guy. And I think, you know, to whom much is given, you know, much is required. And I think, you know, him being a religious person, a spiritual person, he should understand that. And as you said, Chad, I think if he looks back on it, and even 24 hours later, I'm sure he probably wish he could handle it different. But, yeah, he's a guy that this team, this organization, the league is going to be looking up to handle situations like this in a different manner. So it's hard to say what was kind of going through his mind. If you watched his face, you can tell he didn't lose too many times this year. This is just only his second loss of the year. So, again, I just particularly felt like he probably could have handled it a little bit differently. And then on top of that, yeah, he's going to look back on this and be like, oh, I could have handled this in a more mature way.
You know, the tough part for me, though, because I'm just a businessman this way, I just looked at all of the money that was lost because that was the opportunity. And, you know, and I was talking to our producer, Lou, about this, and, you know, and his point is that everybody draws the analogy that, you know, it's sad because Cam should have done, you know, if that was Peyton Manning or if that was Tom Brady, they would have handled it differently. But I would say even if it was Russell Wilson in defeat, he would have handled it differently.
Yeah,
and
but
so,
the guys you're naming have a different makeup.
No,
they
I
have a
understand
different
that. Yes,
DNA.
absolutely.
They have a different
Right.
DNA than Cam,
Right.
so
Right.
he handles his situations a little different, you know?
Yeah,
I guarantee you next
I know
time.
where you're going with this. Again, you have to be gracious in defeat, and you got to be gracious in victory. And I think, you know, again, for someone to come out and say that, you know, you're an African-American quarterback and, you know, he's scared of some people, then I think in reverse to that, yeah, if he wants to be on another level than some of those typical, you know, white athletes or white quarterbacks, then he has to hold himself accountable and present himself in a better manner to put himself on another level. So, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you think about all the endorsements that he's gotten this year through his play, through his maturity. And I think his maturity level took a dip yesterday. And I think really on the flip side of this, too, you know, he was very obviously visibly upset And I think by him walking out, that wasn't the right thing to do. But I don't think, him subjecting himself to a lot of the questions and then him getting, really riled up and then saying something he shouldn't have said wasn't going to be the answer either. So, again, he has to be a bigger person and a little bit more of a mature person to handle defeat just as well as he handles the victories.
Because you know what, Chad, I was thinking about what you said, and Tio, we had a conversation a week or so ago talking about the Oscar snubs. And here's how I'm going to tie this all together. One of the things that Chad spoke to was the fact that the actors who weren't saying anything, the African-American actors who were visibly quiet, and it was understandably so that they were quiet because don't get in the way of your money. And that's all I kept thinking about as I was watching that press conference, Chad, was just the conversation. He's getting in the way of his own money.
But I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
You got next year. You got next year, and his play will continue. Will speak volumes for him once again, and everybody will forget about the presser. It was only 3 minutes long. I mean, even though that 3 minutes will probably stand out in most people's mind, but once the season rolls back around again and they start winning again, I think he'll be fine. But it goes to say, if people want to use you, they're going to use you regardless. If you're a great marketing tool, while you're hot, they're going to use you regardless. I don't think it's going to affect them that much. And those where they let that 3 minute presser affect them that much, they really didn't want him anyway.
You're listening to the Ochocinco and Dukes podcast. Joining us, the great one, T.O.
Nah, the GOAT. I'm going with the GOAT.
I'm gonna go goat-ish because I can't put Jerry I can't put him in front of Jerry.
Look,
I just can't do it. I hope T.O. ain't mad about that. I think T.O. might agree with me on that.
I love Jerry Rice. I love everything he represents. I love everything he stands for. I love everything he's done in a generation that I was not a part of.
But
I was not a part of it.
So you weren't a part of it? That's why
I wasn't a part of it. I'm going to tell you, the generation I was a part of, I had the opportunity to watch and try to be like somewhat the GOAT. And I'm going to continue to say the GOAT because that's what I was able to watch and actually see from my own two eyes. Man, what's one of the greatest of all time, period.
Let's talk about the GOAT because the GOAT got snubbed in my opinion. And I think in a lot of opinions, the Hall of Fame, the writers who I've had tons of problems with, that's kind of been well documented from how, whether it be Charles Haley and how stupid that is, that the only player on the planet with 5 championship rings, he had to twist in the wind to get into the Hall of Fame. And I look at, obviously, Terrell, your numbers and just, your impact on it. What were you thinking about as this process was kind of moving forward?
Well, let me say first, I appreciate you guys, for the kind words. And just to answer your question, I mean, for me, I automatically kind of almost expected it. And I think I've been quoted as saying that when you align your expectations with reality, you'll never be disappointed. And so you can probably hear it in my voice. And I think everybody that has seen me or, monitor my social media, I did a quick, spontaneous, impromptu interview after the Warriors-Thunders game on Saturday. So for me, I kind of expected it. And for me, I know that I should be in there, considering based on my numbers. You guys were mentioning the greatest of all time and Jerry Rice, and rightfully so. I think to Chad's credit, he says, I was probably the greatest in our era. Jerry was the greatest in his era. So for me, I know that I played 3 or 4 more years, then I would have been flirting at some of Jerry's numbers. But we all know that the game is political, just like the Hall of Fame. The voting is political. So it didn't really surprise me. And, what I've gone through throughout my career, what I've gone through in the last 2 to 3 years personally, again, it has made me stronger, and it has really kind of, set the stage, for me to take, such injustices that occurred on Sunday. So it doesn't really bother me. I know who I am. I think I don't even really have to say anything. I think just the outcry, the outpour of love and support and that everybody has shown, and even just their disgust toward, their selections or not selecting of me to the Hall of Fame, I think that's just as loud as my stats do.
Jamie, remember I forgot what episode it was, where I told you I don't want to play their game. I understand how it works. When you play for a while, you understand how everything works. I already inducted myself. Maybe my numbers aren't good enough to get in. Listen, you laughing, Jay? I'm dead serious. This is because I don't want to play.
That's what I'm laughing at.
I inducted myself. I had my own ceremony. I did it my way because I understand when time comes, the politics that come into the game of getting in. The Hall of Fame is about accolades and stats and what you achieved in between the lines. Period. Nothing else. Not about do I like him, not did he do it our way, not did he conform to the way we think he should have been throughout his career. No, that's not what it's about. It's about what you've done in between the lines, and the man we have on as a guest today was the best to do it in my eyes because that's what I was able to witness in my tenure in the NFL. And for him not to go is why I just said what I just did. It's ridiculous. Well, this one didn't do it this way. Well, he did this. Well, he had this incident. Man, who got time to play that? I don't have time to play that game because I know my numbers are nowhere near his, but they were good enough. You know, they're good enough. I should get in at some point. I'm not waiting till I'm dead and gone and y'all want to talk about me being in the hall in 2090. For what? For what? Look, I played the game of football my way. I'm happy. I didn't leave the game on my terms, unfortunately. You know, I'm thankful for everything the NFL did for me. I had a great time while I was there. You know, Hall of Fame or not, I inducted myself. I'm out. I'm done because I understand the games that come with it, the politics that come with it. Well, I don't want to play the game. Life is hard enough as it is.
See, I don't, and I hear in your voice, and the one thing I can appreciate about what you're saying, T, and really I think you too, Chad, to a certain extent, is that you're at peace. How did you get to a level of peace going through this process? I mean, so you basically expected not to make it just because you know who was voting and how the politics work. Is that what you're saying? And so therefore you didn't even bother to kind of amp yourself up to even feel, to dream, to hope, I'm just trying to figure out how did you prepare yourself to kind of be at this level of peace about, you know, I think a horrible, horrible decision that was made.
I mean, I've been through enough throughout my career. I've seen a lot of disappointment, you know, even, you know, from, you know, growing up, you know, not having a dad in the household, and having, you know, him promise you things, you know, for Christmas, you don't get it, or promising to be somewhere, he doesn't show up. Then just, you know, like I said, throughout my career, you know, I've had a number of people to say, you know, this, that, and the other, and then they show me their true colors. I mean, even from close friends and people that I thought were friends to assistants, everything. So, again, I've been through enough personally where I've experienced heartache, disappointment, you know, probably at the highest level. So, again, you know, it prepared me for this. And so I didn't really worry about it. I mean, a lot of people was asking me. I mean, even some of the fellow, you know, finalists, there were, you know, guys, gold jackets that were asking me. I mean, I probably had more people nervous and happy for me than I was, you know, for myself. And so for me, I just understand the reality of the business. And so, like I told one of the guys, I think I may have been standing there with Steve Atwater and John Lynch, who were finalists. And we were standing there and we were congratulating me. And I just told them, I said, well, you know, if I don't get in this year, they may as well not call me back next year because I'm not going to be here. You know what I mean? So I already know because I already expected the injustice. So, again, you think about what I've done throughout my career. You think about where I stand statistically in a number of categories. And how can I not be put in? So my hard work, everything that I've dedicated myself with every organization, every ounce of what I've done, my training off season, just my dedication, you know, personally to elevate my game year after year, my dedication to elevate my play for every organization, every jersey that I put on. I did that because I knew I was in a position to get better each year. I was in a position to be that playmaker, that go-to guy for my team. So, man, it's just unfortunate. But other than that, man, I said I'm not mad. I just, like I told you, I'm more probably feel more disrespected than disappointed.
Let's shift gears here a little bit, boys. And again, I will say it this way, full disclosure, that, you know, some of you may be less single than others. But I want to talk about the ladies scene from a bachelor's perspective, today's bachelor. And I particularly want to know, I mean, here you guys are two world-famous guys. Good-looking guys. You know, we're going to talk about
you said no, Eddie, stop you right there. I look good. Now, T, he's facially challenged. Now, there's a difference. There's a difference. Now, you got to understand.
I hear what you're saying. Of course, I would expect something like that. I'm a guy. I'm handsome. I don't know what Chad is talking about. I mean, for me, I mean, Chad is a guy. I mean, I will go out on a limb and say Chad is, you know, he's a handsome guy. He can attract some suitors out there.
Just, you know, so you talking about some chick like 2 teeth, 1 in her pocket? Is that what you saying? He can attract some suitors?
I'm a guy that when I go do TV interviews, radio, I don't need makeup. Chad needs makeup for this radio, this podcast. You know what I mean? I don't need that. You know what I mean? You know, I'm a guy. You know what I mean? I'm very handsome. You know what I mean? You talk about facially challenged. We're not going to go there, Chad. But I'll let you have that. Being that this is your platform right now. I'll let you have that.
Actually, no. Anything that has to do with you, it's also yours. So actually, right now, you are part of this platform. But one thing about you and I,
Ocho and Dukes podcast.
It's the T. Ocho and Dukes podcast. One thing that we've always been honest with each other. We've always been honest with each other all these years that we've been friends, and as a friend, the fact that you have the confidence that you do is what keeps you going. But you a funny looking dude.
Okay, so being that we have one funny-looking dude or not who they just run after, and another strikingly handsome dude that they run, how do you guys go about filtering? And I know, again, some of us might be a little bit more retired than others right now, but even back in the day show, we say this is a hypothetical conversation, not to get anybody into trouble. So how do you go about, and I'll start with you, T.O., filtering your female friends?
Well, man, it's hard, and sometimes it's trial and error. You know, I think Chad is really the only one that's been, I think, married on this platform. So again, to filter, things that may come our way. I mean, I think it's hard. You look for someone that's equally genuine on the inside as they are aesthetically, and I think that's the beauty of it. And when you can find somebody just as beautiful on the inside as they're on the outside, really there's somebody there that can really get a chance to know who you are and not judge you based on things that they read, things that they hear. And I think for me, that's what I'm looking for. I haven't found that, but at the same time, that's not to say that I haven't had it. And I think, we talked about maturation process, and earlier with sports, I think it comes to play in your personal life as well. And I know for sure I haven't always done the right things when it has come to my significant other. And, I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot in those situations. But, we as athletes, you put yourself in the limelight, especially as much as myself and Chad, we have. And again, you add, the fame with our handsome good looks, then you're going to attract and the charm, Chad's charm. But I'm not going to, bite my tongue. His personality, his charm is a lot stronger than mine. That's probably what gets him over the hump because it's not his look.
So that's what gets him over the hump because the looks is kind of questionable. You saying what you saying exactly about that?
But other than that, man, I just try to, I try to learn from my mistakes. I definitely, like I said, I know I'm single. I don't know about Chad, but I'm definitely looking for someone that, again, that's equally looks good on the inside and as they do on the outside.
Chad, let me ask it to you this way. How do you trust? I just don't know how in this environment
Let me tell you something. It's really not about this environment today. It all comes down to somewhat having common sense at the same time, understanding the type of individuals that you're dealing with, understanding the type of individuals that are going to be attracted to you because of who you are. I've always had this saying, it's not you, it's what you can do for certain individuals. You have to understand women for one. Women, in general, would love to deal with someone that is able to provide. That's, as a man, you have to be able to provide in general, right? So I've always had this. Always had this motto: it's not you, it's what you can do. Now, there are different tiers of women, and one of the things you have to do when dealing with these tiers of women, if you have to stay in your financial lane, okay? You have to stay in your financial lane when it comes to certain types of women. You can't be jumping out here talking about you want to holler at Rihanna like I do, knowing that's out of your salary cap. That's out of the salary cap. You can't do that. So what you see with athletes as it goes is you deal with people that are in your financial lane, and most of the time they really not with you for you, because if you think about it, if you lost the ability to provide in the situation that all of them are in right now, would that individual still be with you? Exactly not. Because if you sitting at a table and there's no food on the plate, ain't nobody getting ready to sit down with you. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
And I totally agree with that. You definitely, sometimes it depends on that tax bracket. You know, that factors in, that comes into play. But again, there are women out there that loves the person, the individual for who they really are. And I think that's the essence and the beauty of love. That's the essence and beauty of really establishing a relationship. And I think, you know, for me, you know, going forward, what I've done, the mistakes that I've made, is not really becoming a friend and establishing a friendship with the ones that I've initiated or tried to establish a relationship with. It was more of an aesthetic thing. Also, although that is important, but, you know, at some point you hear all the ones that have been married, you know, 20, 25 plus years, which is hard to find these days. That's what they tell you it's about. It's those looks are going to fade at some point, and it's going to boil down to a point of the friendship that you establish early on in those years to understand one another on every facet, every level of a relationship can be. And that's what's missing in a lot of today's relationship. You have people that are together longer than they are married. You know, they're engaged longer than they are married. So that's a problem in itself. And I know within probably like the last 6 months, I've talked to a number of friends or females or what have you. Soon as you talk to them, they are married, telling me they got divorced, and I'm like, okay, my next question is, well, how long were you married? They'll tell me, okay, I was married 3 or 4 years, whatever. Well, how long were you guys together prior to that? The numbers almost double. I mean, it's almost like we were together like 8 years, 10 years. But then as soon as they get married, it seems like something automatically changes, and then they don't even last 2 to 3 years. I've had some people say it didn't even last 8 months.
So let me see if I got this right. Because, see, and I didn't know, and I think Chad believes this, so I'm not sure if this is true or not. But, you know, okay, Chad's got like 3.6 million. You got 1.5 million. And I think Chad believes that 2 million difference are female. Do you care to offer an opinion on that, Chad? Is that accurate, that that's the difference, and that's why you feel as strongly as you do that you are much more attractive, eligible, because he's got 2 million more female viewers?
No, like I told you, Chad is a charmer. You know what I mean? His personality, his personality equals, you know, his personality that got him in the game, that everybody saw during the game, you know, and even on the field and off the field. So that's the type of guy Chad is. Like I said, I mean, he's not a bad-looking guy, but, I mean, he's not a great-looking guy either. So, you know, I'm going to continue to say that. But, you know, that's what really made Chad and I, you know, good friends. You know, I mean, I think we were friends before we even actually met, because I admired what he did on the field. And again, once I kind of witnessed his personality, you know, through all the sports networks. And then once we connected, man, and we were together, everybody knew that, you know, we're two clowns, you know, individually, but you put us together, oh my gosh, we're on another level. So, again, you know, I think we're both two guys that are social media savvy. Chad is very, very creative. I'm creative myself, and, you know, that's what makes us who we are.
I don't even know how to answer this. Okay. Honestly. I don't even know how to answer this.
Is it true what I'm saying? Do you still believe that, or not true?
Okay. Bring it to me one more time let me collect my thoughts, and I want my delivery to be on point.
The difference between T.O.'s 1.5 and your 3.5 or 6 is female.
Yeah, see, this is what you fail to understand. 98.7.32 of my followers are all women. That's it. Now, I'm not sure, you know, who follows Terrell Owens. You notice I said your name right, Terrell Owens.
That's right.
I don't know, but all of mine are women. Women have been a fan of mine for some time. I had my stage of ugliness. I had my stage of ugliness like in 05, 07 when I had the blonde mohawk and the mouth full of goals. And once I cut the hair, I cleaned myself up. I was showering more than twice a week. You know, I understood that I had the opportunity and the chance to be somewhat of a sex symbol, and that's when everything started to catch on. I was like, okay, this is me. This is me. I need to get out of the Liberty City mode. I need to get out of the persona, the persona I was putting on, and actually give them what they want, and that's what I did. Now,
man, no. He's very socially active, social media active, very engaging on social media. But at the same time, Chad, he's giving these 98.732% of whoever his women are. That's the problem with a lot of relationships, and that's what he's giving them is a lot of false hope.
See, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
He's telling these women
that's
a lie.
Want to that's hear. A lie. See, that's a lie. That's not my delivery's never been like that. That my delivery's never been like that. For one, let's stop. Let's nip it in the bud. Jamie, Dukes, we talked about this before. You know me. Anybody I meet, I tell the truth from jump, giving you option A, stay. Option B, leave. There's no in between. There's no gray area because I'm not selling you the dream, knowing damn well I'm not going to meet those expectations long term.
Right, but that's where they fault themselves too, because they fall victim to the fact of listening to what you say.
Right, the truth. Right.
A lot of relationships start out like that, and a lot of women can tell you, in a lot of failed relationships, is that the guy told them with the initiation process. Guys tell them what they want to hear. They telling them what they want to hear, and you fall in. On the biggest stage of all, social media, they're falling for it too, and they don't even see
Not
it.
me, because on social media, all I do is put smiles on everyone's faces by continuously telling them I love them 24/7.
But that might be
sure.
it right there, though. That just
I love
you.
But listen. I know my purpose. I talk to God. God said your purpose. I put you on this earth to be positive 24/7. I will continue. Remember this. You remember this, T. Never forget, Jamie. This is my quote. This is my quote, and people still don't understand why I continuously tell everybody I love you every day in passing, whether I know you're not. I don't need to know you because it's not genuine. 3 seconds of anger cost me a lifetime worth of work. I stopped loving for 3 seconds, and it cost me dearly. I will never, ever, 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 ever stop saying I love you to strangers that I know personally. Ever.
T, you see how you pulled that card on us?
I appreciate that. That's real right there. That's some real stuff. And I think, again, you did hit on the point of really just, putting a smile, the point of putting a smile on somebody's face that, generally, you never know what a person may be going through. And I realized that, not playing in the game, but even when I was playing the game, but just being away from the game and just seeing really the support, the love that I have from a lot of fans across the country now. I mean, I'm walking around and I have people that recognize me that I would probably in a million years would never have thought that recognized me. But just to, put a smile on somebody's face or a kid's face, dude, it's the best feeling in the world. The best feeling in the world.
It's funny, before we get out of here, Tio, we appreciate your time because I know you got to get out of here to the airport. Last thing we'll hit on real quick, and both of you guys, we're all entrepreneurs of sorts, post-career, doing different things. Chad's got, by the way, Chad, I'm going to the Dominican Republic, and I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. I need some hookups down there. Just tell me what I need to do, sights and sound. I'm going down there Thursday with the missus for Valentine's Day weekend because I'm a good husband. But let's talk about your line of clothing, T.O., that you have coming out in the fall that I won't be able to get any of. So just tell the people about that.
All right, let's talk about this because I got to go catch this flight.
Yes.
The name of my line is called Prototype 81, and how I came about that line, that name, because when I came out of college, everybody was saying I was a prototypical type receiver. Then when I got to the league, I kind of lived up to that prototype. Again, in terms of my attributes, what I brought to the game as far as my measurables, you think about my hand size and speed. And so I had to come up with something creative because I know I'm a fashion forward guy. Chad's a fashion forward guy. And so, again, with the name Prototype, you can't spell prototype without T.O. So that's another part. That's another part of my creativity. But the gist of my line is it's more of a high-end athletic line. that's fashion forward. It's a casual comfort type of line, and it's going to cater to men and women. Again, joggers, hoodies, crop tops. There's going to be a dimension of the line where there's going to be some active wear in there.
Can I interrupt you and ask one question, though, and make one request? One of the greatest creations ever made in fashion has been yoga pants. Can you promise me, T, that there will not be yoga pants for men? I don't know if I could take men walking around in yoga pants the way women are walking around.
I think my line is not geared or directed, in that direction.
Okay.
But again, that's really how Lululemon got on the map. So I'm not really trying. I'm trying to find my lane, find my niche. I know I'm not going to try to compete in the, with the Nikes, the Adidas, and the Under Armours and the Lululemons of the world. But I understand, and I've done some research with Lululemon and what they've done and what they found with their niche with the yoga pants, and they cater more to the women. They have a little section for men, but again, it's not ideal for your everyday man or your male. So these are some of the things that I've been working on this for a while now, for over 8 to 12 months, and so we've gotten my line dialed in now to where we've kind of going to hit home the market, the niche that I'm looking for. And it's going to be a great line. So definitely look out for that. Prototype 81.
Prototype 81. We appreciate you joining us, brother. And obviously we're going to hear, hopefully we'll be catching up with you down the road when the line comes out. We can talk more about that and why you didn't have anything for me. Excuse me. Thanks. But again, thanks a lot for joining us, T.O. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, no doubt. Appreciate you guys.
All right, T, I'm going to holler at you.
All right, man. You can go take your makeup off now. All right, guys.
All right, take care, man.
It's the Ochocinco and Dukes podcast.
Welcome to the Ochocinco and Dukes podcast. Chad, what's going on in your Super Bowl world?
Man, my Super Bowl world was lovely. It was lovely. The fact that I'm at peace, for one. The fact that I'm at peace knowing that I left the game and I'm okay. So I was able to attend the Super Bowl and not feel a certain type of way about not playing.
Now, you mentioned not. How about this not playing? Did I hear you say, and we were talking earlier about you weren't playing at all? In other words, the night games that are normally played. Were you a well-behaved Chad?
Yeah, always.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, but you didn't party it up.
Man, let me tell you something. A lot of people, if you don't know me, now you know I don't go out. And Super Bowl is the perfect atmosphere, the perfect time to rub shoulders with the new generation, with the old generation. Do you have the women coming in town? No. I went to Super Bowl. I went down to San Francisco, San Jose, to work with ESPN, domestic and international. That's it, for 6 days straight. Once my job was done.
What?
At ESPN, I went back to my hotel. I got in and out. I had Starbucks. I found a cigar bar.
Oh.
And I recycled those events, not in that particular order, every single day once I was done working.
Well, so you didn't have any of the EA Sports, Madden, Power. I mean, you didn't have to do any of those nighttime events at all, parties and appearances?
No, I handled my own appearance.
Okay.
I used Twitter. And I called out people in San Francisco, as they call the city, that played FIFA.
Okay.
And I was looking for FIFA challenges the same way I do in Miami. Matter of fact, really anywhere I travel to where I'm going to be for a couple of days, I want to come to your house, send me your address. I want to walk in your house. I want to go in your refrigerator. Then I want to permit to beat you at FIFA in your place of residence and then leave. That is as disrespectful as it gets in a nice way.
Beating somebody with their own stuff.
In their own stuff. And remember, when I walk in, the first place I go to is a refrigerator. I don't shake your hand. I don't even speak to you. I go to the fridge and I permit to sit in front of the TV.
Okay.
I'm ready to play.
Now, you went over to the Bleacher Report, folks.
Man,
did you beat somebody down over there?
I sent a tweet out. And somebody had the nerve from Bleacher Report to say, yeah, we have a guy down here who is the best in the building, and, it'd be good if you come down here and play him. So I ignored it because I'm thinking Bleacher Report, they don't have time. They're down there working, they're busy. And then I got another tweet, and then another one. And then maybe 6 or 7 after that, co-signing for this individual that's supposed to be good at FIFA. His name is Dyer, by the way.
Dyer, so he was in dire straits?
Yeah, man, listen, let me tell you something. Man, I hopped in the Uber so fast and went downtown to Bleacher Report headquarters. I forgot, I think I still remember the address. 153 Bay Street? Something like that, whatever. Anyway, get down there. I walk in. Man, it's like 150, 160 people. Man, they start clapping. Like, I'm like, whoa, this is a real setup. This is a real setup, man. People, they got the computers out. They got their camera phones. They got everything. I mean, it's about to go down. This is like a real FIFA championship game. The only thing missing was like entrance music. So I get in there. I shake hands. I hug everybody. I introduce myself. I'm like, for those who don't know me, I'm Chad. For those of you that do know me, I'm still Chad, and I love you.
Nice.
Man, we sit down. We play. We got it live on Twitch too. We had it on Twitch, so people that didn't even have to be in the city of San Francisco were able to watch it if you follow Bleacher Report. And I won.
Okay.
And I won. And I felt good about it. I felt good about it to beat him in his home, in front of his people, in front of his colleagues at my game that I'm the best at.
What was it now? Was it catered and all, or did you still get to go in the Bleacher Report refrigerator? How'd you do that?
Man, they bought me M&Ms. They had Raisinets. They had bananas. They had sodas. They had food, cake, everything. I helped myself.
Oh, nice.
I mean, they were very welcoming. I just really enjoyed it. But
now, did I hear did I see on Twitter that you actually went back?
Man, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, I mean, you know, I should have left. I should have left him alone. But me being a hothead, like, you know what? I'm going to go back to Bleacher Report. I'm going to play him again and put the nail in the coffin just so he knows, like, I'm the real deal. I go back to Bleacher Report the next day. Not a big crowd. Not as many people. Man, I go in there and I lose.
What? Oh, but you know, but see, now I could see why you lost.
I go in there and lose.
Because you needed the moment. You needed the energy of the crowd. You know, it was like going to watch a Celtics game versus the Sixers.
Exactly, like playing at Madison Square Garden. I can't play in Minnesota. But I can play at the Madison Square Garden.
So dude beat you down, or did you just lose?
No, I lost by one, lost by a goal.
Oh, okay.
So I never lose that bad. But the fact that I did lose, the fact that I was a hothead, not really leaving, when I should have. But look, like the Super Bowl. Look, there's no do-overs, The Broncos won the game that counted, okay? The game that counted when the world was watching and your entire staff and colleagues were there cheering you on, you lost. That's what they're going to remember. Hey, I lost the game to you. Even Ali went down, but he's still the greatest. And so same concept.
So that basically just one little blip doesn't change the other 15,000. So you like 15,003. Yeah. Is that kind of your win-loss record somewhere in that range?
Something like that. Listen, like that. I'm the greatest at the game. At times I do lose. At times I do lose. It happens. I'm not going to win them all. But the fact that my winning percentage is so high is why I can consider myself the FIFA king. And will probably be that way until my demise.
You've been listening to the Ochocinco Dukes and FIFA King podcast powered by Digital Media. Thanks for listening to the Ochocinco Dukes podcast. Remember, you can subscribe at iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. You can tweet us at Ochocinco, at Jamie Dukes, and at Ocho and Dukes Pod. With any question that you have, we might even put one of you jokers on the air. We also want to thank our friends at Wizard Productions for the great music that they provide. That's going to do it for us. We'll catch you later.
This has been a digital media production. Find your voice